Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Judge Freeh, I have a lot of respect for you, and I've worked with you when I was chairman of the committee for a number of years, closely with Senator Kerry and Senator Bryan and others. But the picture you've painted here today, not all of it, but some of it regarding the FBI, is not the same picture that our investigative staff has found, discovered, or what we've been hearing. Not in all respects. In some, yes, because we do know that the FBI, under your tenure, did a lot of good things. But that's not our job to just ignore the others. The Wall Street Journal article today, which took an extract from your statement, says the FBI did its best. I don't doubt that, but that's not good enough. We're going to have to do better, and that's what we're talking about, and we want to do better. You also mentioned that, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, my perception of what you said, that the FBI and the CIA, they were speaking to each other, that they, yes, more and more. And we know that there has been cooperation, some cooperation. Historically, not, but in recent years, in the 8 years that I've been on this committee, I've seen a lot. But I've seen a lot of problems. Let me just point out some situations, just go over them again, just for the record. The lack of sharing of information. The Phoenix memo. The Phoenix memo we keep talking about, but a lot of us believe that is a very important piece of information. It was never seen by the FBI headquarters, in other words, the higher-ups. I don't know if you had left by July the 10th. Had you left by July the 10th?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It was never disseminated to the CIA, to the transportation people. Security Administration said they never saw it. On a local level, the information you were asked earlier by Congressman LaHood, Commissioner Norris, who's a police chief at Baltimore, testified here under oath that the FBI never shared information on terrorist investigations that were ongoing. Local, Baltimore. The Transportation Security Administration testified here under oath that they never got background on terrorist activities or scope from the FBI. Governor Gilmore, the former governor of Virginia, that you know well, testified about the lack of sharing from intelligence, the community, not just the Bureau, to state and local officials. Testified that as governor, he never got briefings on terrorist intelligence from the intelligence community. He did not mention the Bureau. I do believe, Mr. Freeh, that the FBI and the CIA still have information sharing problems. As we speak, right this minute, there is no central place where there is a fusion of terrorist information, all information going into one center about anything, and that's a real problem. The CIA, you know, you're talking about sharing, it goes both ways. The CIA has some of those problems too. The CIA did not give the FBI visa information on Al Minhar and Al Hazmi, and the fact that they were traveling to the U.S. Very, very important information. The CIA missed several opportunities to do so. January 2000, March of 2000, June of 2001. At the June 2000 meeting between New York FBI agents on the Cole investigation that Senator Roberts is focused on and the CIA, the FBI agent testified here behind the screen that CIA showed them photographs of Midhar and others, but refused to the FBI request, and this was a Bureau request, for copies of the photographs, more information on why the people in the photographs were being followed, and so forth. At the meetings, the CIA did not tell the FBI agents about the fact that Hazmi had traveled to the U.S. and that Al-Midhar had a U.S. visa. This is serious lack of sharing of information. Have they shared? I'm sure, but these are the troubling things. Well, I know my time's out. The other thing that is troubling to me, and maybe you can talk about it, and I'll stay around for another round. You mentioned in your remarks Saudi cooperation, the government. I recall, and the record will reflect that in the committee, that you told us in the committee on several occasions dealing with Khobar Towers that the problem, the impediment early on, maybe it improved, was in the investigation of Khobar Towers. One of the problems was the lack of cooperation by the Saudi government.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
Well, let me answer both your questions.
All
yes,
right.
At an early point, there's no question, and I reflect that in my statement. There were a lot of obstacles. There were some that were legal, some that were cultural. Some were due to the fact that we were trying to make that liaison work from Rome for many years, which is completely impractical. What I also briefed you on during the course of that case, which was several years, was that slowly but in a very, very positive fashion, and ultimately resulting in the type of access that I testified to this morning, they did exactly what we asked, and they did it at the expense of their own interests. That's my opinion.
But it took a while to do that, didn't it?
It surely did. It surely did, which is why those liaisons are so important. If I had had an FBI agent in Riyadh on June 25th, 1996, when that tragedy occurred, who had the trust and the relationship that the League had 3 years later when he set up the office, I would have done much better. With respect to your other question, there is no doubt, but all those points that you raise are troubling points. And as I mentioned this morning, the committee has done an absolutely fair and excellent job in going back as it should and finding and highlighting those points. My caveat, however, and my strong suggestion to this committee is that you cannot highlight and isolate those specific lapses and exclude and ignore the excellent relationship that exists between the FBI and the CIA. I think to do that is a disservice to the relationship, and it's not accurate. It's not my experience. It's not this committee's experience. As I said before, I heard nothing in the 8 years from any member of either committee that did not confirm my own experience that this was a very productive, efficient, and transparent relationship. Not to say that there were points and gaps, and we ought to identify them. You have identified them. We should fix them. But to highlight those to the exclusion of everything else, I believe, my opinion, is not accurate and not the picture that's relevant to my experience. With respect to, well, I think I tried to answer both questions.
But the facts are the facts.
The facts are the facts, but
Sure.
there are the facts which are points among thousands and thousands and thousands of other points relevant at that time. I think we need to fix them and correct them and highlight them, but if you just connect those post ex facto, that's not the experience or the reality that I remember.